everyone, welcome back to Diary of Maria B, your guide to all things PhD, lifestyle and productivity. And today I'm talking about the benefits of an internship or work experience during your PhD. So a few weeks ago, I released a video with Dr. Delano D'Souza where we talked about a few challenges in the PhD as well as benefits of working during the PhD, and I'll link that above. But today, I wanted to focus a bit more on my experience as a PhD student doing an internship. At the beginning of the year, I told you that I was going to Antigua to do an internship as well as some data collection for my work. And that time has come to an end. And now, in retrospect, I'm going to give you my perspective on the benefits of doing that, having some work experience while doing a PhD, as well as the challenges. So I'll start with the benefits. One, it was perspective. I think for me, I was doing work that was quite related to my thesis, which is climate change and climate change adaptation. And being able to get perspective of industry professionals, people who are actually working on the things that I'm researching, was quite useful, because there's often this disconnect between academia and industry, also policy. And for me, doing the internship, I was able to bridge that gap, fill that gap, and make sure that I can integrate some of the lessons that are being learned on the ground, in the industry, in the field, to my work. The second benefit that I saw was confidence. In academia and as PhD students, we often encounter imposter syndrome and feeling like we're not enough, we don't know, can I actually do this? And for me, being in the internship and doing the internship and being entrusted with certain tasks, getting them done, and then getting feedback, positive and negative, on them, really helped to build my confidence in not just my professional skills, but in my research, because it showed me that what I was doing was actually needed on the ground. And I say on the ground because in STEM, you do your labs, you run your models and stuff like that, and it's quite easy to see where your work would become relevant. My work is policy, and it's in policy, things move pretty quickly. And it's sometimes hard to articulate that in a sense that fits the criteria for a PhD. So gaining that confidence in my work and knowing that my work can be applicable, I think that was one of the main benefits for me. The third benefit was a change of scenery and a break in routine. So for the last 2.5 years, my routine has been solely on a PhD, and now my days were filled up with the internship and the work that I was doing there, and it kind of took my mind off the PhD for a bit, which allowed me to then come back maybe late in the day with a different perspective. And with that break, I'm a bit more energized and excited to get back into my work. Having the chance to have that mental break from the PhD, I find, gives you a bit more motivation rather than just trotting along all the time. You have this sense where, okay, I've taken my break, I've recharged, I can attack this head on. The fourth benefit, which I think to some extent may not always be the case, was time management. So as I mentioned, I was working full 8 hours a day for the internship, but at the same time, I wanted to get my work done, and I wanted to capture essence of what I was doing in the internship in my work. But at the same time, the clock was still moving on my PhD, so I needed to get things done. And having that additional task that separated me from, thinking I had all day and forever to do my PhD, it really helped me to focus and dedicate specific hours to my PhD. I would do that like in the mornings and make sure that I made those hours as productive as possible. But that takes me into the struggles of doing an internship while doing a PhD, and that is really, it can get a bit intense. If your internship isn't necessarily relevant to your work in terms of managing your time, if you're not able to do that properly, juggling the 2 things or 3 things and other things that you're doing can become a bit overwhelming. Also, coming out of the PhD where you're setting your own days and your own schedules. Maybe you have a different sleeping pattern when you're doing a PhD because you're the one responsible for setting your schedule. So that challenge was the loss in flexibility in my days, and because now I had to be at the internship from, I think it was 8 until 4:30 in the day, whereas otherwise I would probably study and work from early in the morning until maybe 7-12 midday, and then I'll have the rest of the day for myself. So that loss of flexibility, as well as the pressure of balancing and juggling all the other tasks that I had going on, I think were 2 of the greatest struggles that I had during the internship. After doing this, would I advise that someone does an internship or work placement during the PhD? I definitely would, because there's so much to gain, even if it's not directly related to your PhD, but there's always soft skills that you learn, that it always gives you a perspective of maybe the skill sets that you need to build while doing the PhD, but also a way of how you can tailor the PhD to have a greater impact. And I say that because one of the things that my supervisor at the internship, not my PhD supervisor, was able to help me with was changing the narrative in my thesis. I'm researching private investment or private finance for climate change adaptation, and the way in which I was approaching it was very different than what they were hoping to have on the ground here. So that really added to how I am going to approach my work. So I would definitely say, if you can do it, if your funding allows for it, if you have a fieldwork component, if you need a break and if you need a new perspective, it can definitely help with that. So thank you for watching. I hope it was helpful, and if you are going to go on an internship, let me know down below, and subscribe for more content. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and catch you in the next one.